combos. Whereas for Kukuys, you kind of want to get a good egg arena combination, and you are banking on Armel getting a good time on that Lina, hitting that travels timing, getting Aetherlens into the Ags, and just blowing people up. And again, having to consider something like a BKB in this game, which is not optimal for a Lina, but certainly necessary when you're playing against that Night Stalker. I think overall, though, you are happy on Aurora with this draft, and we do have some good luck, have fun babies from Palos, and about calling Palos a beast carry.
Uh-oh.
Time to pay back, Armel. I left the game. Oh yeah, that's exactly what Armel said. That's exactly what he said. I won't crush you too hard so you won't be replaced by 23.
Oh, you love it. Good on you, Armel. I mean, we'll see if he can back up. There's some fighting words, Jonathan. Fighting words from Armel. We'll see if he can back those up. Going to be a smoke out from Aurora. Palos will not be smoked. He'll just hang by the mid lane, handing out high fives here to Cox.
That's all they need. Kukuys flags flying at mid. That's all that matters to them. Look at that beautiful face of the master himself.
Indeed, it is. No real fight to break out. The smoke allowed a nice ward on the right side of the mid lane, on the Radiant mid lane, but that's about it. Bounty Runes, it's going to be practically an even trade, but still manages to get his one down to the bottom side. They were not able to swipe it away. So pretty even start. Of course, we are starting as nighttime because we do have the Night Rain for jabs, which is why I think Night Stalker has so much of an easier time these days. So you can just start at nighttime and it just feels so much better to lane. Get those initial levels up, and by the time daytime hits, you don't really care anymore. You're fine with it.
Yeah, you're just alright and just farming back up in daytime anyway. You're trying to build into your initial items. What matters is just surviving through the lane. I'm keen on seeing what sort of ideas you have here on the side of Kukuys to try to slow this down. Again, it's not very offensive when you've got Phoenix and Morphling, so you should just be looking to sit back, try to build up farm on a bot, try to mitigate some angles out, especially as Jabs approaches level 3, 4. That's where things can start to get spicy with Q at, say, level 2. Just chain stuns into a little bit of a chase down. Will lead to some nice opportunities, especially if Ponyo or a bot overextends. We'll see if that shapes up that way down the line. For now, farming-wise, a bot is still alright in the first few levels, and that should maintain for a bit. You're taking a look, a little bit of a chase from Joel, dragging the creep wave around. It does have the mind flare. He will snipe. What did a bot do? Why was he... okay.
It was more... Jabs went Crippling Fear level 1. So Q just landed a stun. Jabs casually walks in with Crippling Fear, and it's actually... like, you don't see it very often, but it works.
Yeah. I see it. I see the problem with 362 HP fully agied up. A bot is...
It's...
playing on edge, as you would.
Well, now he'll have to play on edge, because, I mean, that's pretty standard, like, playing on very low HP, but I don't think he was quite anticipating level 1 Crippling Fear from Jabs, as Jabs will move in again, onto the Phoenix this time, but oh, the Hex is out. Ponyo, can he make it? He can. Fairy Fire will be enough to create the space for him to Icarus Dive, but you're seeing the issues here with this bottom lane, is one Earth Spike or one instant Hex onto a bot, and suddenly you're just kind of dead.
Yeah. And it's not like Crippling Fear is that expensive of a spell for Jabs to throw out 50 mana for that nice little silence. A bot's just going to have to try to measure himself out. So already a strong start for Aurora, as you would want to see it for those guys. Up top, a little bit of a chase down onto Cox as well. And this lane is also not the smoothest of times here for our Mars. There is a lot of output from Ollie. And you're laning with a Nyx. Of course, Joel's just going to be trying to get some pulls. Mind Flare creeps. Play a little bit greedier. Leads to a bit of a slower time for good old Cox. At the least for Cox, he does have a little bit of room to just soak EXP solo, but you're not going to be pressuring onto Palos anytime soon. And a free farm DK is a little bit of a terror. He hits a timing on Blink, he hits a timing on maybe Armlet or SNY, and you're set to take over that game right quick, as that hero tends to do.
It certainly does. Armel at the very least mid lane having a pretty good time, Arbed. About 8 CS behind Armel, but this is to be expected. Not an easy lane matchup here for Arbed. Armel really dishing the harassment out as much as humanly possible. But gonna kind of be relegated to just waiting for the creep wave to get underneath his own tier 1 tower to be able to farm at the moment. I don't see any support rotations happening anytime soon either. So it could be a bit of a rough mid lane here for Abed to get things started, as bottom lane, Earthspike gonna land onto Ponyo, into the Hex, and now the Crippling Fear, and Abed from a mile away with the Boulder Smash will clean up the kill. So I suppose that's one way to deal with the CSing issue in mid lane, is just come down bot and snipe a kill.
Yeah, you're giving space out to Armel, but again, you don't really have presence here. Anyhow, you're happy enough to get some activity out on Abed. And as long as he hits some level strides, you're still somewhat fine on the Earth Spirit. He's not really able to try to pressure on the double water runes, though. Once again, they already get an early move out from Joel to at least ensure one rune for Armel. A 0-2 start for Aurora. And all things considered, outside of mid, everything else is starting to feel pretty good here for them. The safe lane of Palos is basically uncontested. You are having an outstanding time on jabs, and this is something almost similar to Execration with Aurora, but we always talk about jabs as well. It feels like a lot of times for him and his teams, it relies on him kind of having a good start. If he can ride through the first 5-10 minutes of a game and get off to a decent start, he will pay back that momentum sevenfold for his team. And so far, again, there's just no presence from Kukuys in their lanes, both bot and top. Again, their lineup's just a little bit more passive. They're forced to just kind of play farming game up top because they have that Nyx. And down bot, they can't contest the Night Stalker in the first initial nighttime.
Abed in trouble. Nice juke on the Impale, but there's no TPs incoming here for the mid-Earth Spirit. He will go down. A very awkward ward there as well. I think Abed maybe misplaced that, but it is what it is. It doesn't really matter. Nice rotations here from Kukuys to ensure the Earth Spirit just not going to have a bit of a comeback here in this mid lane. It's looking pretty rough for Abed.
They've held him back quite well. Again, this is coming at the sacrifice of your side lanes, right? Like, your farm on Abad is a little bit slower. He is matching Palos to an extent. Your farm on Cox is taking a nosedive in comparison. Not as bad as Abed's, for sure. Still not what you're used to seeing from the offlane Mars. So all of these movements are kind of coming at a cost. They're just playing where they're strong. And their only strong lane is that mid. You do have the Laguna Blade ready to go on Armel as well, if they can land some sort of connection onto Abed for back-to-back kills. See if the rune plays in their favor as well. Are in position, and Armel will get one sneaky shield rune for himself. Not the best in terms of trying to set up for a kill, but does allow him to maybe go for a deeper dive if wanted. But again, it's all down to this Lina kind of setting tempo, because you need that recovery on the Mars, you need a recovery on the Morph, at the least for Jab's daytime. You know, again, he's gotten good impact from his first nighttime. Daytime, he's got the levels to just be fine and just farm up into the Echo Saber, more than likely tanky enough with double bracers and phase boots to not get insta-gibbed. So, yeah, it's just the power of that Night Rain. It's a fun one with the duration changes as well. That's going to make it a little bit topsy-turvy later on in keeping track of day and night. Still, I think if you are Aurora, you're just happy. You're chasing down Cox again up top as well.
They sure are. Cox, he's going to be okay. He'll survive thanks to the stuns out from Jewel, but certainly not able to continue this lane, as Palos is still just taking over completely here on this Dragon Knight. So he has a red dragon form as well, so going to have a lot faster farm with that cleave. The one saving grace right now really is the fact that Armel's had a great old lane. And in fairness, Abart's not doing bad either. He's pretty much on parity with this DK. So I'd say in some sense, Kukuys is actually considering the laning stage. They're kind of ahead right now. So laning stage wise, you'd call it a win for the Radiant side. It may not matter in a few minutes once both sides start getting a little bit more active. In fact, they're going to go active right now because they will commit a smoke in the mid lane. So Abed wants to try and rotate with his level 6 timing. And it's where they'll go up tops where they'll see Cox very soon.
Radiant are scanning. Radiant's top
Scan is very nice though. So Cox very well aware that they're coming. Abed gonna roll up to the staircase. Does see Cox in the end. Enemy missile will connect. Here comes Palos to help out. And well, Jewel, he came in, but he's just gonna be another kill. Save a buddy syndrome, not gonna pay off this time, as Abed does get a double kill for himself.
And that really helps the Earth Spirit to just catch up. We were talking about the atrocious start for Abed. 2 kills, catapults him way beyond now on Cox, and that we're just right behind, about 400 gold behind. Still a significant amount at 8 minutes in, but not going to stay that far apart for too long. They managed to siege onto the tier 1, maximizing that commitment out, and the side of Kukuys can't really do much about it yet. We were talking about the power of this draft kind of being tied into this team fight potential as well of Arena Egg. You're still a ways off until Ponyo starts to hit that level 6. He is clearing out some stacks, which you can get done with a Phoenix with the Fire Spirits, but not quite enough damage to fully clear it out. Just enough to kind of be a nuisance on it at the very least, and take a couple of creeps for his own. Still, I think Aurora, they're in a pretty happy position. You've got a free lane for Jabs once more. He is going for the Phylactery, probably into the Conda, just a little bit of a slow on the chase down with the Void. Does have the Dark Ascension ready as well. For Abed, Magnetize is going to be coming off cooldown in 20 seconds. The Blade Mail is the first item to come out as well, as you tend to see on that Earth Spirit. And again, despite the slower laning start, he's kind of closed that gap. Meanwhile, for the side of Kukuys, we haven't really seen Armel start to swing around into other lanes. He does have the travels up. They are looking to make some TPs bot. Maybe an opportunity to play with his first arena ready on Cox. It's just that there is vision from Aurora, and that could just be wasting a lot of time here from the side of the Kukuys.
They're going to be set on Ponyo. Or maybe not. Ponyo's moving back in. They've got vision, although a nice Icarus dive. Q didn't feel confident enough to go for the Hex first. Just couldn't get within range, but they're still in anyway. Jabs, the Dark Ascension can catch up rather fast, and well, he's even maybe going to find the Morphling Courier at this rate as Jabs still going. They do at least trade with Ponyo, so it's not a free kill by any stretch. Jabs now needing to find his own way out of here as Armel's on the chase with the Guna Blade available. Looks like he's going to be okay. But at the very least, Kukuy is able to, even out the trade a little bit and not make it quite as good. In fact, maybe now, though, Cox to get caught. Jabs is behind. TP's incoming. And that'll ensure that Jabs cannot just keep moving forward. Though here comes Abed. He'll say thank you very much. I'll take care of it. And Cox should just die to the Magnetize, and so will Ponyo.
Some clean aggression from Aurora. Again, they're making use of these early spikes they have, making use of this offlane weakness right now in Kukuys. Like, there is just nothing to play with just yet on this Mars. And again, you don't have the levels to be a menace on these supports. Joel does have Vendetta, but you don't have the Phoenix Egg ready to go with your Arena combination. All you're getting out of this is, again, just you're trading all of this for farm on Armel and a bot. And that farm is still free-flowing. You've got room to shove in bot, equalize map control just a tad bit. Again, you have the travels ready on Armel to start to show around the map. Is slowly making his way into the Ags timing of that carry, of that mid Lina that we tend to see. And it's really once you hit that Ags, that should align with the level 6 of Ponyo. I mean, he should have his 6 well before that point. And then you can start to think about a little bit more coming out. You do have to question if you are giving too much space out to Palos. As this free farming DK, we've seen this just take over games if it's allowed to. Armlet already up, Mask of Madness not too far off, and free reign up top as well for our DK. Uncontested in farm, is managing to just constantly trade places with a bot. It just feels like the DK's timings are a little bit quicker than the Mort. So there is a nice spike for Aurora lined up as long as this tempo stays the same on that safe lane.
Well, mid lane's being forced in though, but will take it himself. Aurora not feeling confident enough to try and defend this. As bottom lane in the meantime, Dark Ascension being forced out because Jewel was looking for a stun. Cox and Armel around the area as well, but Jabs wants to stick around and maybe go for a fight. Ping's coming out. He seems to want someone to join him. Do they know that Armel's there? They certainly do. He's under vision. Jabs getting caught in the arena now. Here comes the help from Ollie, but Jabs is still in a bit of danger. He'll just fly his way out. Now a Bart joining in as well, trying to chase down Ollie. Hell, even another, and the Phoenix joining in. So now 5 are here from both sides. But nobody's dead yet. Roll in, Arbit, a nice Magnetize, landing onto Armel. Armel dropping low, Magnetize will refresh, but now the turnaround onto Palos. The Palos proving to be quite tanky with that armlet, still gonna die as Armel is still running. Jabs will eventually find him, and does take him down, but it's still a very good trade here for Kukuys as now, well, Ponyo does get caught to boot. They'll even find Coxie with an Earth Spike. Nice impale though from Jewel. Will force them back a little bit. Cox still in danger. Abat still playing around with his strength. Does take down the gyrocopter, but Cox is going to drop. As now Jabs moving back in onto Jewel, but Jabs now needs a way out. They'll land a greater spike onto 2 heroes now, so Abed will secure a double kill. And yeah, complete chaos down at the bottom lane, but it was a 2-for-4 trade in favor of Aurora.
I mean, it's just a little bit messy from the side of Kukuys. We saw Cox kind of drop the arena only onto one, couldn't even land the spear onto Jabs. He is highly mobile, of course, with all the move speed he has on Dark Ascension. But that cuts it off from the rest of the team fight. Again, you're forcing these fights really early from Kukuys. You are about to hit 6 on Ponyo, but you would have loved to have the egg at that moment. It just doesn't line up that way, and Aurora make use of these weaknesses in the big way once more. Your output in a bot isn't quite high yet, just the Manta alone on Morphling, of course, doesn't lead to much. At least it's going to be a little bit harder to try to go for the burst play on him with all of the added stats he has. And despite the kills on Aurora, despite this 4-11 lead, 1k net worth is not much. Right? You're still in control here with Armel on farm. You're still in control with a bot on farm. You're only really hurting right now on Cox. But we've seen this a couple of times in, you know, some past Mars games. Once you hit a Blink, maybe a BKB or some utility on hand, if a Eul's perhaps, if need be, then you're still doing your job on the Mars. It's just a matter of riding through that slow point until the Blink is up. And it does feel like, for the side of Kukuys, they're doing a fine job in holding back in that. Tier 1 for Tier 1 trade. Big difference is the mid falling for the side of Kukuys much earlier, so they have a little bit more reach for that extra mid tier 1 take, a little bit more influence in the jungle if they so wish. Aurora, though, are just hugging down bot. They have a nice cliff ward, relatively forward, is set to expire soon. They can start to set up their next points of vision. They've got the full phylactery up on Jabs, so the chase down doesn't take too long if they do want to commit on any single hero here.
Jewel. They are having a look at Jewel. I mean, missile is going to be thrown out, but Jabs not wanting to pop the Dark Ascension underneath the tier 2 tower. So Jewel's going to be okay. Man, while all this is happening, Abat and Armel are both farming very, very well. Like, you do have Palos right behind them in terms of the farm game, but I was anticipating Aurora would have a much easier time after that laning stage. It has not been the case. They're still allowing quite a bit of space here for Kukuys to just keep farming up. And, well, bottom lane, is there a fight to break out? I think there might be. Q's been left behind. Jules having a look around, though. I don't believe he actually scouted out the lion. So he will miss out. No kills to happen. And that actually allows the Blink Dagger to come out for Q.
Big timings being met. You also have that Blink for Cox. He's just not quite in the area to try to force a fight. You do have to appreciate the nice choke point sentries you have in Aurora. One watching right in front of the tier 2. One right by the triangle entrance to ensure that the sneaky Nyx plays don't necessarily amount to too much here. I'll isolate out Jabs, but your follow-through is only really Ponyo, and that's not nearly enough damage either. So, just some information coming in. Perhaps with Cox with Blink, this could lead into something, but...
Gonna try. Armel's gonna TP in as well. Jabs caught in the arena. He's a tanky boy, but not tanky enough when there's this many heroes. Armel with the Axe up now, certainly having more than enough damage to get the job done. Meanwhile, though, a smoke being committed by Aurora. They'll try and head down bottom where they did see a Bart for a moment. Bart, though, realizing everyone's missing, of course, just going to look to just walk away. The chase continues, however. Does Abed see him? Not quite yet. Jewel in position to break the smoke. Abed will have his smoke broken now, but they found the wrong time. So very nice from Jewel. He'll tank the gank for a Bart. A Bart, of course, going to be okay to back out of there. And Aurora, they're going to head through the Twin Gate, see maybe if they can find Cox up at the top lane. But well, it doesn't really seem like they're going to find that either. Cox realizing they're probably making that movement does just retreat. And so props to Kukuys again, John. I mean, they're finding ways to just completely avoid any really big engagement with Aurora. And I think that really does hurt Aurora, because you have this style of lineup that wants to fight during this time, but it's just not coming.
Oh. They also have really good rune control, amp damage to come in here for Armel. It's going to be feeling nice and happy about that one. And again, for the Kukuys, they just managed to ride through a little bit of a rougher point. A point where Cox didn't have Blink, a point where you didn't have that egg threat. Now they can keep looking to apply that pressure. Another smoke out from the Kukuys. Block off Abed's roll. Doesn't have the detection for Joel, but that should signal some shenanigans set to go. They are right outside vision range. They only spot Q in their top ward. But that does, I believe, catch a glimpse of the smoke. And Joel's just off to break it. Nice and quick. Lots of value from that ward being dropped there by Ponyo, right by the tier 2.
And none of the dusts even connected. Like 2 dusts committed. Neither one connects. Once again, I mean, Kukuy is still in prime position in this game 1. Still a very even game though. Less than 1k net worth lead their way. Win probability currently at 56% for the Radiant, so nothing to write home about yet. One bad team fight will throw all of that away. But the bad team fight just hasn't come yet. And Bart's working towards the Kanda now as well, and we know with the Kanda build up, things tend to get a little bit ridiculous with these Morphlings.
It's a little bit tricky to try to play forward as Aurora as well. Even if this Nyx isn't going full offense, right? He's always able to keep track as to where certain heroes are, if there's a risk of being ganked up. Look how look at how Kukuys are playing. They're just taking triangle. They know no one's here. They know Palos isn't hanging around the area, so no one's going to be trying to ambush them anytime soon. And they get a little bit more gold going for Ponyo that way. Even Armel's soaking some of that farm up himself. This more passive game does benefit the DK in a big way, but also benefits the Morphling. And again, it's just a mild, awkward time for Aurora. Might be able to catch something here, though.
They may. Stuns are out. They've caught Ponyo. Hex out as well, though. Abed does miss out with the roll, so the egg is still going to make it out in time.
Oh.
Here comes Cox with the arena, but it's all too late. The egg is going to go down. Jewel in the middle of all this may drop to boot on the Nyx assassin. At least Armel, though, does find a double kill on the opposing support duo, but they are still dropping more. Cox will get caught. Jab's on the hunt for another. And he might run into Bart very, very soon. In fact, he does now. Bart still looks like he's going to be okay, though. There's no backup here for Jabs. And the rest of Aurora, they do just focus on the mid-tier 1 tower instead. It wasn't the worst fight for Kukuys, but obviously not great news either.
No. Very forced out on the egg from Ponyo. Couldn't get the fire spurts out as well. Discord issues for Abed. You know, back to this excuse, which is always nice to see.
Bullshit. It's bullshit. I'm calling it.
Yeah, instant go ahead as well. Wow, that was a fast fix on Discord. Nice to see.
Yeah,
but
yeah. They've got the best.
Oh, no. It's not fixed yet.
Not yet. Boys, we're getting in contact with Discord. We'll get it sorted out really soon, I'm sure.
All right. So, again, you saw some of the potential of that fight a while ago with the arena egg. It's just, it wasn't really the best arena to kind of try to tie in the egg. Very forced egg as well from Ponyo. And again, they revealed their BKBs on the side of Aurora. So, first BKB charge for Palos down, which isn't the biggest deal in the world. Kind of want to get that out of the way anyhow, along with Abed's. But it's a little bit awkward, because as the game scales on, as BKBs scale down, you just have more opportunities here to play on the side of Kukuys. And again, for Aurora, I don't really doubt their scaling. It's just, it's a little bit more awkward with, say, the Night Stalker. I feel like Night Stalker's scaling is where it's not at its best. You know, eventually BKBs will be up, eventually Force Stabs will be up, and people will have a way of kind of getting out of the Crippling Fear. It's not going to be as big of a threat. There's going to be a point where the Night Stalker is just not going to be as big of a factor. You're finding things right now for Aurora while this Jab's Night Stalker is strong, but I feel like if the game drags into 40 minutes, that's where things can maybe be a little bit harder to try to influence this game from that Night Stalker position. And it just becomes a little bit awkward in trying to rely on that as your be-all and all in terms of control. Whereas, again, for the Kukuys, Arena is always relevant, even with BKBs, because of how you can block right-click damage. The egg is always relevant as well, especially as the game goes on. Like, when you get your shard up, when you have more hits to be durable, this egg is going to be a massive feature in those next set of fights. And again, I'll have to hand it to Kukuys once more. I I think their warding has improved since yesterday. We saw a little bit of it in the last game. We're seeing it here again. Just this nice diagonal line cutting across right in front of the tier 2s of Aurora. Right behind that tier 2 top, near the mid, right in front of it, down bot. Like, it gives such good angles for them to anticipate smokes, to try to play around Joel, who again hasn't really killed off the most heroes, doesn't even have Dagon. Just the information gathering that they've been getting has been nice. Heck, that smoke as well, I believe, caught on edge again off this cheeky ward.
Here we go. I mean, they're going to go for something here with this smoke, but well, I mean, if they were spotted, it makes things a little bit challenging. Then maybe Ponyo didn't get the memo. Hex is out from Q, so they are going to find themselves a Phoenix. Okay, not the biggest steal in the world. Ponyo won't really mind dying like that just to tank the smoke. At least now you know where Aurora are. And everyone else is still very safe. I mean, Abart's still free farming. He's got the full Kanda up, going towards the BKB. Armel's going for the BKB himself now. Everything's just smooth sailing right now for Kukuys. Maybe bottom lane, Palos could get caught, but it's just Jewel. It's just Jewel keeping tabs. You know. Oh, nice dust though. I guess they had the sentry. Did they have a sentry or did he just dust? No, he did just dust.
Dust? Yeah. Nothing expired right there. Sense. Yeah. Just figuring out maybe something. They didn't see Joel for a while. I think that's a key thing. The bigger one is that they managed to isolate and blow apart a bot. Now, with him without the BKB, he can still be a sitting duck. And you are finding the bigger trades now on Aurora, while the side of Kukuys just try to consolidate this farming game. They've got a little bit of an opening for Roshan as well, and they've got the damage here with Palos on hand. Does have a Chrysalis and isn't too far off from the full Daedalus as well. Not the quickest Roshan in the world, mind you, but enough time here and not enough information for the Kukuys to even consider making a foray into Rosh. They could try to. I feel like there's some potential there if they wanted to go through the gate, but yeah, no vision in that area. It has been stuck around the triangle now. So, freebie for Palos, 2k lead coming out for Aurora off the back of that. And again, still a lot of play left on both sides. Your big issue is, despite Joel breaking smokes and doing all of that, again, the Dagon's a little bit slow. I'd say at this point, you don't even bother going Dagon 5. Like, one Dagon's fine to help soften things up, but maybe you have to start thinking about utility. You know, maybe a Force Staff, maybe a Yule to just hold back whenever some aggression comes in. Maybe even saving up for the Ags into your Burrow could be really nice as well, if you're looking for the long con. But let's see if Joel starts to shift around. There is still burst play. It's just a matter of finding the burst has not been easy in this next game.
No, it has not. We're going to see him jabs. We'll run right into the Night Stalker, but he was underneath Sentry Vision, so they are aware the Nyx is scouting around at the top lane somewhere. There's your BKB on Armel now, so he might want to make the call to go for a fight. Aurora might actually meet them down at bottom lane as well, considering that Palos does have an Aegis and is starting to push through the tier 2 tower. Keep in mind, Palos is just what, like 50 gold off having the Demon Edge to finish off his Daedalus, and there you go. He's got it on the way. So it's nice timing as well for Aurora to try and force a fight, knowing that they've got a pretty big spike on their DK. Question is, do Kukuys want to force the fight? The answer's looking like it might just be a resounding no. Because they're just allowing the tier 2 bottom tower to go for free. Which is a little bit surprising. Maybe they just make the call that we wait for Abart's BKB before we get going. There's Cox's BKB. Problem is now you're losing the mid tier 2 tower. Like, are you really going to wait for that final BKB to be up? There's still about 400 gold to Abart has it.
I think they're willing to let go of tier 2s just because they do have really good fight potential on high ground anyhow. Like Arena Egg cannot be underestimated in such a tight area. So they might be happy enough to just allow this Aegis to take at least 2 outer towers. Maybe hang on to the last one. That's the one thing I don't think they'd want to give up. They need at least 1 forward point to try to exert some map control here. Don't just let that go. You are getting space out for Joel to just snipe around top. And again, you're riding out a bot who does eventually hit that BKB. So triple BKB timings are online. It's just a matter of now finding that position. They will try for the smoke out. Their wards, not really giving them the info they'd want. It is mainly across the river. in the triangle. One forward ward by the secret shop, but again, not anything to spot Aurora out. So we're gonna have to go fishing for this one. Joel is a good front line to scout with that scuttle. Issue is, there's a lot of sentries on the ground if he does decide to show up somewhere.
We'll wrap around the long way. Oh, Arbed, he could get caught. Cox, does he want to jump in? He will, but Arbed very quick with the BKB, and now they really want the fight. The Dark Ascension was already committed here from Jabs. So Jabs trying to find himself a target. Not seeing anyone yet. Will eventually spot Armel, and now a Bard also showing, but he'll start on Ponyo. The Earthspike gonna land as well. Ponyo in trouble. They'll try to jump in and help out, but he's already down. Coxer with a nice arena, catching out Ollie and Q, who both drop. Palos and Abat meanwhile just man fighting here, but Abat needs to back out of there. He hasn't got the damage. Abat's down. He tried to man fight Palos, but he got destroyed. Zarmel now has no idea how he's getting out of here. He'll get through the high ground, pops his BKB, and just TPs out. So he's okay. But a pretty awkward team fight for Kukuys, who just again, like, it was all over the place. I thought a nice arena came out, but it was still very messy from their end of things.
It was. Quick BKB usage from Aurora as well. I think a couple of things for the Kukuys that led to that circumstance. They were turning around to try to clear out that medium camp while retreating. Like, they played it so greedy. It actually put Ponyo in the firing line. And this Phoenix is not the hero you actually want to be surrendering first. If any, you're fine with Joel dying on the Nyx. But you take this Phoenix away, you take away the Fire Spirits and the threat of the Supernova with your teamfight combination, your arena gets a little bit less scary without that egg follow-through. And it just kind of falls flat. Aurora, again, they just run right in. They might find punishment.
Yeah, Palos, he stuck around a little bit too long, I think, though he's still alive, and we'll lose the Aegis. So one life down, are they going to help him? Surely they have to. Arbed's going to roll in. Palos just looking to walk away, but here comes the rest of Kukuys trying to continue this fight, but it's not going to happen. The cooldown will slow all of them down. And so you lose the Aegis on Palos, but I believe he didn't really have that much time on it left anyway, so it's not really the biggest loss. And off the back of that, they're going to smoke up anyway. They want to go again.
Yeah. BKBs are back up. Dragon Form's back up as well. There's not much to be worried about. Even Dark Ascension's not too far off.
Earthspike off the mark here from Q. Armel okay for now. Hex is out onto Ponyo, but Q's just getting destroyed and does go down as now a Bard. Learning the last time he cannot man fight the Dragon Knight on his own. Oh, a Bard gets a BKB off eventually. Almost going down. There goes Jewel. A Bard needing to roll away. Morphs into the Earth Spirit form, but Jab's still on the chase now. We'll find Cox. But it seems like Palos wants to dive in for this Morphling. But he doesn't have anything to close the gap as Cox forced to just drop the arena to be able to get out of here. Jab's still on the chase. Meanwhile, Palos now being jumped on here by a Bard, but a Bard's the one going down. He'll barely survive. Still chasing down Palos, but Palos is just armor toggling through this. He will not make it though. He will go down. Jabs will make it out. But this time, they get too greedy.
They dive a little bit too far in. They don't respect Cox with the full shard having the control in the arena this time. And it looked a little bit dicey on the BKB pop. Heck, it looked a little bit dicey for a Bot playing so far forward with only 2 points in attribute shift. Only finally maxing it out now, opting for the stats instead. And that's why it's looked a little bit odd for the Morphling. He just hasn't had the fastest attribute shift at level 2. Still starting to mitigate some of those issues now, and is starting to work his way onto more stats. The Scotty's going to be massive in holding back this DK from trying to lifesteal his way back. You do have damage with your Conda as well. Some tracking onto Cox here. Stuns.
Cox is okay. Bart's hanging around. Like, he'll go through the twin gates, not going to stick around here. Not looking for a easy burst play onto perhaps Ollie. Armel actually going to take out Q in the mid lane, so Q just kind of copying it with the Laguna Blade. Not much he could have done about that. Still a very close game between these two sides, I might add, as well. Like, just Aurora, I really thought this was going to be a very one-sided game, but it just has not panned out the way I had expected. The props to the Radiant side. It's just Armel and Abad have just found so much off this map. now an Ethereal Blade completed on Armel to make matters worse, so the burst potential gets even worse, and they're looking at Palos. Impel's gonna land, and they've got him.
Ooh.
It happens that quick.
Yeah, I thought Armel was going to take it easy in Palos.
No, sir.
Didn't quite go that way. You saw how cheeky Joel was trying to be as well, right? Looking for a cleave to hit his spike carapace to start things off. Doesn't really find it, but they're trying to eke out every advantage they can get here on the Kukuys. 4K lead despite being 9 kills behind at 14 to 23. You're reaching this point where, again, you're hitting critical mass on a bot. Once that Scotty Satanic is up, Morphling is kind of set to just take complete control. Tormentor, Joel barely escapes with his life. 100 HP, very nice for him as the free shard comes out for a bot of all people. And the next Roche, 2 minutes and a half away. So a little bit more time until it's up. They left behind a tier 3 token. Fortunately, a bot does have his courier out. Very nice.
Very nice indeed.
You like talking about pro players needing help, Mikey. I mean, you know, they leave their stuff behind before flying. They leave their stuff behind right before leaving the hotel or leaving the game house. They leave tokens on the floor. These players, man.
How do they even survive real life? Like, what happens after Dota for these guys? They're just done. Just like, that's it. It's all over.
Basically it. You know, and then you have people like Eternal Envy who just go on Twitter and lose their minds every other day.
Yeah.
You know? It's either or. Either you fade away in silence or you turn into envy.
Yeah. Until this day, I don't know.
Is Joel stuck? His scuttle faded and he's stuck in...
Oh, poor Joel. He is stuck.
No TP.
What even is that? That little ledge? Like, what is that? Who puts this crap in the game?
Radiant are
Valve?
scanning.
It's good.
Dire are scanning.
It's useful, you see? Very useful.
I guarantee the poor guy didn't even know that little area existed before that. I didn't. Here we go. Roshan about to spawn in a minute. Fight to break out. Cox will show himself. Big wraparound here from Jewel as well. Seeing if you can find maybe a pick-off there. Jumped in with the Hex out onto Cox. But Q is already down. They'll try to focus his egg down as well. The egg is down to boot. So Ponyo is gone. The chase is on. They want Palos. Palos already committed his BKB, so they've locked him down and they've got him.
Oh!
Without the BKB, he's really not that tanky though. Armel now gone as well, so maybe they can still turn this team fight with his Starbed and Jabs. It's going to be a little bit challenging to deal with a bot here, I think, as they do take down Jewel, but Arbed, he's starting to drop low. Jab's trying to move into a bot, but a bot's going to just TP out. Do they have a stun available? They do not. Everybody had their spells on cooldown. But that actually ends up being a successful fight for Aurora somehow. Which is kind of crazy to consider, considering Palos did just instantly die.
Yeah, their issue is that you had Armel right in the firing line. He had to play a little bit more far forward. BKBs are starting to fade down now, especially in the side with Kukuys, just down to 6 seconds now. And a couple things for Aurora, they managed to get that good jump, again forcing Ponyo to drop the egg in less than ideal circumstances, so the arena is just never able to protect. And they're not able to really play off of just a big arena spear instead. BKBs always fly on the moment Cox decides to open it up. The big thing for Aurora was that you did manage to force the issue with Q coming first. Right, so the moment he instantly got control onto Cox, it meant that the arena opener wasn't there, which provided Aurora the angle into the back line. Even though Palos was left behind, they got to dictate the rest of the team fight anyhow. They have enough damage coming in there on Abed and on Jabs. I do love that Jabs does have the nullifier as well to help with the chase downs here and kind of taking away the power of eventual Aeon discs coming out. Like, you already have one on Cox. It's not going to do much for him now. A defensive E-Blade just disappears as well as any sort of save possibility. Roshan is back up and all heroes are back up as well. Now, only the egg, all the ultimates ready to go on top of it. So you've got a prime position for both sides to kind of gun for this objective. You would want to pick off first. Big spike for Palos, as he does have the full Satanic up. But you also have that full Scotty up anyhow on a bot. So you've got the back and forth counterplay there. You do have the forward vision out from Aurora, but Joel's also scouting out in the scuttle. So you have some angles here.
Such an important Roshan now. Abart, gonna be very cautious. They're gonna roll in. They'll find Jewel first on the next assassin, but Abart looking for Q as well. Q with the Glimmer Cape gonna survive. Abed, meanwhile, just causing all kinds of chaos here as he does go for the egg. No, they leave the egg alone. They'll chase down Abart instead. Jab's trying to find his own way out of here as the Night Stalker as he does go down. So already a pretty good start here for Kukuys. They will look to reset.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
But Roshan's still there. So I'm not sure if Aurora are feeling like they can try to swipe this away. It doesn't seem like they do, though. Instead, they're going to go ahead and address the creep wave.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Maybe wait out Jabs to respawn, but it's going to be another minute or so before he does respawn. It's quite a while. So perhaps Roshan has kind of just been given back the way of Kukuys.
Yeah, and you didn't even have to drop Arena and Cox. All you dropped was the egg from Ponyo. And this time around, the egg was actually impactful, not focused down, very scattered.
Oh, they're going.
Still
Roshan.
trying.
It's
Ooh.
oh, Palos! Palos has got the Aegis. He'll pick it up. Swipes it right away from Kukuys.
Arena.
Ollie's down. At least they do find one. They might find a bit Abed as well. Abed will go down. Palos in the middle of all of this. Still trying to fight, but there's no fighting, I don't think. He'll drop the first time, and he should drop the second as well. I mean, a nice Roshan still. I suppose you deny the Aegis at least. It might stop them from going high ground, but still a pretty big win here from the Radiant.
This time, yeah, big changes for Kukuys. They don't have the egg to play with, but you get a very impactful Arena out from Cox. Again, BKBs, not really necessarily back up in that fight in time. As you can see, 2 BKBs are still set to go. Like, Abed's BKBs off cooldown. Palos did manage to get his off at very least, but you had an angle here for Cox to get control. And it was very forced from Aurora. I'm surprised he didn't show much more respect for that control, for the fact that Arena was untouched in the last fight, and for the fact that Jabs wasn't there. He was still set to respawn. They didn't want to surrender the objective. It leads into a massive swing for Kukuys. 15k up their way, even without the Aegis. It doesn't even feel necessary for Kukuys. Like, they have all the confidence in the world now to start hitting high ground, and they've got the damage here with a bot. So long as he doesn't get dragged around and isolated away solo, they have enough to just get work done on some key objectives for now.
Yeah, I mean, tier 3 mid tower under siege. Gonna be a pretty quick process once this cliff is over.
Dire's middle tower has fallen. Dire's middle
Take out one Rax.
Dire's middle barracks
Seems like they are gonna maybe just play it safe and retreat as all the heroes from Aurora have now respawned. Suddenly one Rax up, 17k advantage. I mean, you love to see it. The squad, they're doing fantastic here, John. It feels like Aurora, they're out of fuel, they're out of gas.
Kind of boils back to a little bit of the draft, right? Like, support Gyrocopter doesn't achieve much for you into a late game scenario. You're scaling a Night Stalker, it's still relevant in utility, but it's not that terrifying beast that jumps in, gets a silence off, instantly dictates the fight, not with BKBs around. So it's just not as easy for Aurora to gun for these angles. Whereas for Kukuys, you have 2 hard hitters in Alina and a Morphling. You have insane burst damage on hand. You can instantly get a numbers advantage just by looking for the blow up. And you have good teamfight control.
Jump in again, Arena is down, they'll go for another fight. Looks like Q's already gone to boot. BKBs were forced out from Palos and Arbed as well, so it makes it very hard to hope for a defense here as they are going to buy back on Q. Looks like they are going to commit for the fight once again. Jabs are going to be so cautious as Abart just doing so much damage with that adaptive strike. They'll move on to Cox. The Mars has been left behind, so Cox will drop as Aurora. They want to get more. Looks like they're looking for this Morphling. Abart, they're going to be able to waveform away, but Arbed is still chasing. Still trying to find more, but has he gone too far? There's no BKBs up. A nice Earth Spike though by Q may have just saved the day for Aurora. Had it not been for that, Abart may have just cleaned them up. He'll roll back in after Arbed, but he's gone too far. No, in fact, he hasn't. He'll roll away. They can't find him either. He'll TP out of there as Q was on mark with the Earth Spike, but he was not there in time. So 3 for 2 that time around. Props to Aurora for being able to punish quite nicely on the tail end of that, but I'll tell you what, it almost felt like they were going to get turned on had Q not land that 3-man Earth Spike.
Yeah, there was potential for Kukuys. A couple of small mistakes coming out. The instant refresh out from Cox, and the arena not really landing onto Palos. That was also a very, very far chase from him on the Mars. The rest of his team was still tied around near the Rax area, near the ramp. So a little bit over enthusiastic on Cox does lead to a little bit of a stumble for the follow through, and it does provide some time for Aurora to try to fix their lane, to try to find an angle back in and just kind of hold out. Still maintaining the 16k lead on the side of Kukuys is massive. Again, all of this is down to really a bot on his Morphling's farm. Going for the butterfly next. And Armel having some room to start to finish up. Oh, no. Jeez. That's quick.
Ouch. Yeah. It's very quick.
Oh. You know, Armel's still not showing mercy, as he should. Now, there's a lot in the line. We're in the lower bracket. You're up against Aurora, one of the top 3 teams in Southeast Asia. You want to go far in this qualifier run, of course, the Kukuys would. And they're certainly showing why you can't underestimate any of your lower bracket teams. Like, again, Aurora coming in, you'd figure they're the heavy favorites. You were saying it in the draft. I was in agreement. Like, it should just be Aurora, as we normally see, but looks like at least one game is going to be going to the Kukuys, and who knows about the next. Full AC up for Jabs. Does have a little bit more protection. That does leave him without buyback, so a little bit of a risky time now in these fights. One more set of racks here.
2 range racks down. They're going to try for the Phoenix first. Abed is in. The Phoenix, though, alive? No. Ponyo is now down. Jewel also being caught by a roll, but there's no detection here to really catch him out. Meanwhile, Bart has been stunned up, but he's still very, very healthy here as he will morph into the Earth Spirit now, looking back towards Jabs on the Night Stalker. Another arena down by Cox. Jabs somehow still alive, finally will go down. Abed also in trouble, will roll out of there, but Palos, he's the important one. You can't really afford to lose him right now. He's got no buyback. Oh, this game's over if he dies. And I think he is.
Oh,
Indeed,
yeah.
they call it. GG, well played. I was not expecting Game 1 to go this way, but I mean, these boys, John, I have faith in them, and they've shown me